Thanks for joining us on WUSA 9 Plus for our special coverage of Inauguration Day in Maryland. I'm Larry Miller. It's an exciting day here in Annapolis, as you can hear from the stage, as we are awaiting the official swearing in of Governor-elect Wes Moore and Lieutenant Governor-elect Aruna Miller. Joining us this afternoon to help us with our coverage, to really analyze the day, to talk about the historic nature of the moment, is Dr. Roger Hartley. He's the Dean of Public Affairs at the University of Baltimore. Dr. Hartley, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting day, no doubt. I think we have to start really at the very beginning, where all of this started with the campaign, right? We saw Wes Moore vying to become the Democratic nominee for governor, a race that he was able to win successfully.
Absolutely. You know, when he declared his candidacy, he was seen by a lot of people as kind of a political outsider, actually, even though he did have a lot of experience in nonprofits and an incredible story and journey. He didn't have the state elected office experience, and he came throughout the campaign, ran a marvelous campaign, and ended up winning the most votes of any gubernatorial candidate in Maryland's history. Absolutely took on some amazing candidates with incredible deep experience like Tom Perez and Peter Franchot, and not to mention others, and won big, and then went on to win a landslide in the general election.
Today has really been historic, not just in the fact that in Wes Moore, being the 63rd governor, we will also have the first African-American governor for the state of Maryland and the first lieutenant governor that is an immigrant and also an Asian American. But really how the day began, and it started at City Dock here in Annapolis, which in and of itself is historic, mainly because enslaved Africans that were brought to this country came to that dock and then found themselves with a new life in a new world.
Absolutely. You know, that says an incredible amount about him. It was honoring his past, his heritage, and showing the legacy of that horrible past that faced the United States, and leading up to a day hundreds of years later of having the first African-American governor in our state. It's a magnificent day, and you'll see throughout the crowd the diversity of our state on display here today.
Maryland is the fourth most diverse state in the country.
Absolutely.
Significant because as we continue on, the Census Bureau estimating that by 2050 we will see a majority minority in this country. Certainly with that comes the changing political landscape as well.
Absolutely, and Governor Moore has promised, and he's already delivering on his promise to, in his appointments, his cabinet appointments, and his to have his appointments be the most diverse in the history of the state, to reflect that changing diversity that you just mentioned.
One of the people that we heard from today was Chris Haley. He is the nephew of Alex Haley, the author of the book Roots, which no doubt has had an impact on America as it chronicles the story of Kunta Kinte and his experience here in the United States. We spoke with Chris Haley earlier this morning on Get Up DC. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
It's so symbolic of a journey that's begun and a journey that's culminated in a person of African descent taking the state house in Maryland, which was one of the border states, a state where when the Civil War happened, it was enslaved, but it still stayed loyal to the Union. So for him to embrace both the patriotism of being a government official, but also the ancestry of being a person of African descent who was enslaved in this state, and going to that place where that occurred, where this person who was a kidnapped African was brought here, and then now a descendant of enslaved Africans is sitting in the State House. It's so symbolic, and not just for us, but for everyone who's had a descendant who was an immigrant, either forced or voluntarily, who now sits in the United States of America.
A lot of rich symbolism here today and throughout much of the day. One thing that we also have to mention too is the Bible that Wes Moore will be sworn in on. That is a Bible that belonged to Frederick Douglass.
Well, it's absolutely additional, as you just said, symbolism of the importance of this moment in America, but also the importance of this moment in the deep history of Maryland. That shameful past that we're still living through in the United States, and what this moment says in our history to have a governor, the first African-American elected governor in the state of Maryland and his appointments and the type of government that he has chosen and promised our state that we're going to be seeing coming.
So what we saw this morning really was a nod to the past, and the speech today that we will hear from the governor-elect, soon-to-be governor, is what the future will look like for Maryland over the next 4 years. But one person that we can't count out in all of this is outgoing Governor Larry Hogan, who leaves with an incredibly high approval rating of 77%.
It's really extraordinary, because what we hear in the United States right now is in the news is about how divided we are and how divided the parties are. Well, here you have Governor Larry Hogan get elected as a Republican and then re-elected as a Republican in a state that's by far a majority Democrat, and to have an approval rating of 77%. It is absolutely magnificent. It's a credit to him. It's a credit to his staff. He is seen as a magnificent governor by a vast majority of the state.
Right, and with that, looks like we're finally getting our hands on the program here. We've been asking for this program for some time, but because of security issues, it was delayed. But it looks like we finally got our hands on it now, so we're going to read through that momentarily. But want to get it back to Governor Hogan, because what he's been able to accomplish here in Maryland now sets him up on a national stage to really be a serious contender in 2024.
Well, absolutely. You know, right now the polls have him way back in that 2024 Republican primary. However, his name recognition is going to expand as he continues to campaign. I think his story is really an important one for the Republican Party, which is what is the future and the direction of the Republican Party after Donald Trump, and after, really a history of going pretty far right of the rest of America on its policies. Larry Hogan shows that you can govern from the middle. You can still be a conservative. You can still be a Republican, but you can still honor the spirit and the ideas and the needs of citizens across aisles. And that is a very powerful story. The question mark for him is how to survive a very strongly conservative primary to get to the place where he would be very electable.
And certainly some other candidates like Ron DeSantis and others that are polling ahead of him. We do want to talk about the now incoming governor, Wes Moore, and some of the things that he'll be charged with handling are some serious issues, like a number of vacancies in state government and the impact that's having on the government's ability to do its job. I talked with him last week about some of those concerns. Here's what he had to say. Take a listen. I wonder what you're learning about the job that you didn't know while you were campaigning that you've learned now.
The level of vacancies that we have in this state is real.
It's concerning to you?
It's very concerning. I mean, there are departments and agencies where we're talking the vacancies are in the thousands. There are basic functions that are not being performed. And that includes everything from making sure that people are getting their unemployment insurance, to making sure that we have people who are being monitored. If you have hundreds of vacancies in parole and probation, to ensuring that we have these vacancies in our corrections department, our nurses. We've got to be a state that serves. So we have to incentivize people to stay. We've got to incentivize people to come and to serve.
But what do you think is the primary issue with this? Is it that the state is not competitive when it comes to compensation and incentivizing workers to stay and to continue to work?
Those things are real, but also there needs to be accountability. And that's one of the things you've seen with all of our announcements about cabinet secretaries and our agency heads. For each and every one of them, one of the things that we speak about during the interview process is, tell me about how many vacancies you have and what is your plan to address that. There needs to be a measurement of accountability that comes from the highest levels of understanding that this is a priority, that we are getting people in the seats, because you cannot perform work if there are people aren't there to perform the work.
Well, the issue of vacancies is a real one, with estimates putting it at near 10,000 vacancies that they need to fill throughout the state. I want to bring in my colleague, Matt Gregory, who's also in Annapolis for us this afternoon. Matt, you've been able to see more and more people make their way here for the festivities, for the ceremony. What are you seeing where you are?
You know, Larry, we're standing in the auxiliary area for the festivities of people wanting to come in and see this. And one of the things they did here at the state is, in addition to having this very historic inauguration and the setup that you would normally see, there's also these auxiliary seats behind me. And even though this is sort of the area where folks have been able to come in and not need a ticket or a pass. These seats started filling up earlier. I mean, we saw people coming in around 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning. There's a bus coming from the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium that's been bringing people in, and this is kind of the thoroughfare to get there from here. And everyone we talked to, seems to have not at all lost sort of the history of what is happening today on them. Everyone kind of keeps that in the front of their mind, and also what could be in the future in the back of their mind. Here's some of the folks we talked to and kind of their perception of what they're seeing today from Wes Moore's historic inauguration.
We were just here, wanted to share in the occasion. We know that it's going to be a momentous, historic occasion, and we're very excited about Wes Moore to get into office and take some big swings. So we wanted to share the moment. My parents had the occasion to go to the Obama inauguration, and I didn't get to go with them, so I wanted to make sure that I brought the kids because they were also excited. They helped out when we were passing out flyers for Wes and stuff like that. So we're excited.
I think that the pre-inauguration service that he had downtown at Susan B. Campbell Park, as a remembrance of our ancestors, never to forget from how far we've come, from whence we've come. I will always remember that service because he did not forget that he stands on the shoulders and the ancestors are crying out and are rejoicing in heaven right now.
And speaking with people, they understand the gravity of the moment, and many of them very excited to see what's happening. That's why they got here. Saying that, this is only the beginning. There's more to come. There's more on the road to equity, to equality here in the state of Maryland, and they see this as the first step, but a very important step. And like we were saying, it's just the gravity of the situation, the gravity of the moment has really resonated here with the people in Annapolis. I'm going to send it back to you, Larry. We're going to continue watching as this day continues to unfold. We're, less than a half hour away from the beginning of the inauguration.
Matt, you're absolutely right. Thank you for that. And we're getting more information about who will be here today. And we've just gotten our hands on the program itself. And in it, the presentation of the governor will be done by Oprah Winfrey, who we understand is in the house today. So we will see Oprah. One of the things that Matt talked about is really the work that the governor or the governor-elect, soon-to-be governor, will have to do once he is sworn into office. And he is getting a state that is really doing well financially with between its rainy day fund and its surplus, well over the two combined, over $5 billion. He's in a good financial position. The future, however, given the economic outlook, can be a bit dicey. We talked about that specifically, what he plans to do with the state's budget and its surplus. Take a listen. Wednesday's going to be the big day for you. Are you ready for Inauguration Day? It's going to be a long day.
It's going to be a long day, but I'm so ready. Yeah. You know what it is? I'm ready to get to work.
How is that day going to look different, feel different from what we've seen in the past?
That day is going to represent something pretty historic in the state of Maryland. But the thing that I want people to also see is not just the two faces that are going to be inaugurated. I want people to pay attention to the crowd. We are going to watch people from all over the state, also because we actually are providing buses and shuttles for people to come from every corner of the state to come to Annapolis to witness it for themselves.
As final preparations for Inauguration Day continue, Moore is getting the incoming administration ready to tackle several budding issues, like a potential recession, a staggering number of state job vacancies, and what to do with the state's estimated $2.5 billion surplus. Outgoing Governor Larry Hogan issued a warning to those in Annapolis to keep a tight lid on spending. He said this, that it would be a mistake for the legislature to use its newly expanded budgetary power to return to the old habits of raiding the rainy day fund or recklessly spending down the surplus. Do you agree with that position?
Our administration is going to be disciplined. Our agenda is an ambitious one. Ambitious does not mean being reckless. I believe deeply that we have to be smart because, we do have a surplus right now. But there's three main reasons why we have a surplus. We have a federal government that has infused capital in historic ways. We have market performance, particularly in equities, that has created a real lift. And we have a historic number of vacancies that are sitting in state agencies, which is means a lot of basic services are not being performed.
Does that mean that the money in the surplus is fair game then?
I think what you're going to see with the budget that we are going to be presenting, and we're going to be presenting our budget on January 20. So pretty much within hours of being inaugurated, you are going to see a budget that is going to be reflective of the fact that we understand that that surplus is there. And there are things that we are going to invest that we think is going to create a significant level of societal return on that investment.
So it looks like already they are making plans for what exactly they will do with the state's surplus, even potentially its rainy day fund as well. I want to bring in my colleague, Scott Broom, a veteran at WUSA 9. Scott, I want to start with this question because you have seen many inaugurations here in Maryland. How does this inauguration differ from the ones that you've covered in the past?
Well, the weather's a lot better, I can tell you that. I think one of the Hogan inaugurations I covered, it was something like 14 degrees and snowing. But this is a beautiful day out here, and the mood of celebration cuts across all inaugurations, but this moment in history does not. It makes this one very unique. Let me set the scene for you. This is an area here where a lot of folks who don't have special tickets are sitting. Matt Gregory a moment ago showed you a bit of this as well. My partner behind the camera here, Dion, is going to show you over the top there. You can see the State House. That's the big stage where Governor Wes Moore is going to be inaugurated in a few short minutes. We've had entertainment here on big screens and all the rest of it, so it's a big celebration atmosphere. Hey, let's talk to some of the people here. I just bumped into Mr. Ron James, mayor of Galestown, Maryland, on the Nanticoke River on the eastern shore. Tell me a little bit about the gravity of the day for you.
Well, I'm going to tell you right off, I'm one of the few Republicans that voted for Wes Moore, and it's because he's a veteran. And I'm all for veterans, and he does a lot for veterans, and I believe he's a great guy. As a matter of fact, a lot of people did. That's why we're here today.
I like your hat, by the way.
It's a very nice hat. I have several of them.
You know, as a small-town mayor, a municipality on the Eastern Shore, what does it mean, an administration? I mean, how does it function with a small town in your part of the state?
Well, all government, as you know, starts at the low level. The government starts in our town, and we try to be very progressive in Galestown, and we have a good population, a very diverse population, and we believe that Wes Moore is going to help the rural areas in Maryland. Another reason we voted for him.
Mr. Mayor of Galestown, Maryland, Ron James, thank you for joining me. Hey, let's take a second and talk to some of the other folks in the crowd here. You can see a lot of people moving in this direction. They are headed for the seating where they have tickets, so they're kind of VIPs. Let me spend a moment with a couple of folks. Could I interrupt you? She doesn't want to be interrupted. I think I caught her in the middle of a phone call. I'm Scott Broom with WUSA 9. We're live. I'm just talking to folks in the crowd about this moment in history, the gravity of the day. What are you thinking? Tell me why you're here.
Well, I'm here because this is a proud moment, not just for the state of Maryland, but it is a proud moment for all of the United States and then all of the world, because now we have the first black governor of the state of Maryland. It's a great moment. He's a good friend of mine, a fraternity brother, and I am just so pleased that we're here at this moment. This is not just a moment for people of color, but for people everywhere. If you look at this crowd, this is a very diverse crowd and really should be a microcosm model for the entire nation. We have come together, as we always do in the state of Maryland, despite some of our differences from here and there. The state of Maryland is a great place to live and has spoken with a great voice in elevating Wes Moore and Aruna Miller to be the two top spots in the state of Maryland.
You know, I had an opportunity to speak with Governor-elect Moore on Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day,
Yes.
a national day of service, and I talked to a lot of people. I said, could Dr. King have imagined a day when a black man is the governor of Maryland and also African-American individuals fill the seat of the Attorney General, the Speaker of the House of Delegates, and on? Would Dr. King have imagined that?
Yes, he would have. He spoke about that in his dream. He said, I have a dream that one day that we as a people will come together, that we'll be able to live together as brothers and sisters, that on the great hills of Tennessee, the great, whatever those hills are.
we all can't speak as well as Dr. King.
But he had a dream that one day that this would come to fruition. And if he were alive today, I believe he would be like 94 years of age if he were alive today. But he lived a short but very fruitful life. And I'm a part of an organization that celebrated Monday. We held our 27th annual Martin Luther King Memorial Breakfast at the College Park Marriott Hotel and Conference Center. We had a great time, and we had a great keynote speaker in the person of Dr. Cheryl Sanders, who is a professor at the Howard University School of Divinity. She brought a great message, and we had a great time.
You know, I'm a reporter. I was in such a hurry, and I'm so rude I didn't introduce myself. Scott Broom with Channel 9. Please tell me your name.
My name is Dr. Artie L. Polk, A-R-T-I-E, middle initial L, Polk, P-O-L-K, like the president.
We're wrapping it up now. What is that organization you just spoke about?
The organization I spoke of is the Ebony Scholarship Society, Incorporated. Been around since 1982.
It is great to speak with you. I really enjoy it. You helped us capture the day for our audience.
Thank you.
Have a great time at the inauguration. All right, so you got a sense of the mood here. We talked to two different people from two very different backgrounds, talking about diversity in this moment in history, and just a lot of warmth here, and that's not just because of the weather.
Scott, you're absolutely right. A lot of optimism, a lot of hope about what this means moving forward, that you now have, according to many, a government that is reflective of the people it serves. And so this is a big deal for the entire state and an example for the entire country as well. In addition to that, Governor-elect Moore now is in the process of moving his family into Government House. He told me that he's watching his children absorb this change and what it means to him. How are the kids doing?
The kids are doing well, and thank you for asking. They're excited. And you know, one of the things, and I'll never forget this, was the moment that the Hogans, when they invited us to come to the house, and they came when they were giving us the tour of the home and introducing us to everybody. And I remember talking to Dawn later on that night about, you know, since 1870, the governor of Maryland and their families have lived inside of Government House. And we're now, you know, the next family to have that honor. And I said to Dawn that night, I said, imagine and think about what we just witnessed, where we saw these two little black children, age 11 and age 9, running through Government House, picking out which room was going to be theirs. This is a pretty special moment. And I'm just loving the fact that I'm able to see it and witness it through their eyes.
Yeah, you can see him get a little emotional there talking about his children. The innocence of his children now going to be able to have this unique experience that, you know, only a select group of families have had since 1870.
That description was truly, truly moving. You know, those of us who have kids, you're thinking about how they move into a new house and find a room, but this is the governor's mansion.
Yeah. Outgoing Governor Larry Hogan has also been quite the statesman in this transition, making it very clear and really providing the country with an example of a peaceful transfer of power, especially after what we saw January 6th at the U.S. Capitol, that sort of demonstration of a peaceful transfer was necessary in trying to get the country back on track to a sense of normalcy in terms of the way our government functions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way things should work, period. And, you know, it shows a grace in it. It shows, you know, a terrific dedication that he had to the state to be able to pass the torch to Wes Moore and to also show the citizens of this state that they are in good hands, even if he's from a different party.
Absolutely. And so the outgoing Governor Hogan, actually had something to say for the incoming administration. Take a listen.
We will add yet another important chapter to our state's history with the inauguration of Maryland's first black governor and first Indian American lieutenant governor. And I urge all Marylanders to join me in wishing Governor-elect Moore, Lieutenant Governor-elect Miller, and their administration much continued success in the years ahead.
That's important, that sort of well-wishing of the next administration, the incoming administration, One, because the incoming administration's success is everyone's success.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is so, so important. And, you know, there's a lot of things that happen in transition that we don't see between, you know, an administration to an administration. And that is hard work. And if that is done in a way that is obstructionist, then it harms the people. It's clearly not obstructionist here.
Yeah. So let's talk about the People's Ball, which is a ball that will be the inaugural ball that we will see later on this evening. A whole list of celebrities are going to be participating. Let's take a listen to that. If I'm not mistaken, on the list of performers, I saw my uncle Maxwell. He's definitely uncle status now. I think DJ Quicksilver, who locally known, we love and own him. Yeah. You guys, I think
Raheem Devon, local.
Now Drew Hill, is Cisco going to be there too?
Cisco's going to be there.
Okay. Now we're good.
Cisco's already said he's revved up. He's ready to go. He's ready to go. He's got the whole crew.
I remember them from when they used to work at the Fudgery.
Carrie's my name. They say Carrie's his name. Make it fudge. Make it fudge.
In Baltimore City.
That's right. And also, a lot of people don't know the history of the Fudgery, where it's like some of the best talent in Baltimore
came out of the Fudgery.
Because you would go and get your fudge, and also, like, don't tell them it's your birthday, because they were going to serenade you. So it's like that's part of our history. That's part of our folklore. And the fact that, you know, you have this internationally recognized group that literally started at the Fudgery. Yeah. That's Maryland. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of our state. And I'm proud of the fact that, you know, when we said we want to have a really inclusive inaugural, that means it's everything from the inaugural ball, where we are very clear and also just very, very intentional about making sure there are price points that everybody could be able to come.
All right, thousands expected for the People's Ball that will take place at the Baltimore Convention Center tonight. We're going to take a quick break and get ready for the news at noon. Stay with us. Our coverage continues after this.
Okay, thank you. Sure, I'm Delia Gonzalez. Coming up on the news at noon. I'm Delia Gonsalves. Coming up on the news at noon, a historic day as Wes Moore is about to be sworn in as Maryland's first black governor, and a court appearance for the husband of a D.C. real estate executive who's now charged with her murder. Caitlin?
Delia, a few towns have already hit the 60-degree mark and temperatures are still climbing. We'll talk about how warm it will be today and some rain that returns for tomorrow. Brand new information on how much wet weather we can expect coming up.
Good afternoon. I'm Larry Miller reporting live in Annapolis, where we are getting ready for what is a historic inauguration today, the inauguration of Wes Moore, the 63rd governor of Maryland and the first African-American of the state as well. First African-American governor, that is, of the state. Right now, you are looking at video inside of the State House now, where the governor-elect is being sworn in as the governor. He will have a public swearing in coming up closer to around 12:30 this afternoon, but already the energy here is high. Folks are excited, everyone taking in the historic nature of this day. Roger Hartley, who is the Dean of Public Affairs at the University of Baltimore, is joining us as well. Dr. Hartley, I want to get your sense of the day. You and I have had the opportunity of really seeing this campaign since the very beginning, and now we are here at Inauguration Day.
Yeah, you know, it is a beautiful day. The place is getting really crowded. There's so much energy here, and like you had said earlier, there's a lot of historical symbolism here of honoring the past and moving into a new future for the state of Maryland. That is what Governor Moore has said that he would do throughout the campaign, and what he's demonstrating here in his inauguration. It is symbolic, and it's truly, truly exciting.
The day started at City Dock for the governor-elect as well as the lieutenant governor-elect. City Dock is historic in and of itself because that is the place where enslaved Africans were brought here to a new country to undergo some tough and inhumane experiences here.
Absolutely. And, you know, it took a long time and too long for many people, but look at where we are now. First African-American governor elected in the state's history, elected with the most votes of any governor in the history, with broad support across the state. You know, it's truly reflective by the crowd and the people that are here. As an earlier commentator said today, the diversity of this crowd shows the excitement of this day for the state of Maryland.
And we're seeing people from all walks of life that are here today, taking this all in. And one of the things that we've also seen is this peaceful transfer of power as well from the outgoing administration. Governor Larry Hogan wanted to make sure that the world saw that as we go from a Republican administration to a Democratic one, that we can do so peacefully and that it really is in the best interest of everyone in the state.
Absolutely. Done with grace, done with honor, and done with care to the citizens of the state of Maryland. It's really impressive.
Yeah, so we want to go back to the room now where the Lieutenant Governor-elect Aruna Miller is being sworn in now as we speak. Let's listen in.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Put your left hand on the knees. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Aruna Miller,
I, Aruna Miller,
do swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland
and true bear allegiance to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof
and laws thereof
and that I will
to
the best of my skill and judgment diligently and faithfully without partiality or prejudice execute the office of Lieutenant Governor of Maryland according to the Constitution and laws of this state and that I will not directly or indirectly receive the profits or any part of the profits of any other office during the term of my acting as Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. Congratulations, Lieutenant Governor.
All right, you're hearing the cheers there, both inside of the room and outside of the room here at Lawyers Lawn. Aruna Miller, now Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller. She is the first Asian American Lieutenant Governor for the state of Maryland and the first immigrant as well.
Absolutely. Again, the entire ticket reflected this change in diversity for our state. It's historic in both our Lieutenant Governor and our Governor.
And this certainly sets her up for a bright future as well in Maryland State state politics.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lieutenant governors earn great name recognition. She's going to be viewed as a leader all across the state. It's a terrific opportunity for her to serve the state.
The governor-elect says that she will be the most consequential lieutenant governor that our state has ever seen, and now she has the task of getting to work, kind of delivering on the promises that we saw during the campaign. One of those promises being police reform, as well as reform to education, and then also trying to leave the state better than the condition in which they're getting it right now. I mean, the state is actually in a great position. Between the surplus and the rainy day fund, $5 billion at their disposal. The governor-elect telling me that he plans to earmark that money for specific projects, and with a unified Democratic government, potentially what he's asking for, he will likely get.
Yeah, you know, it's really important. It is a great opportunity for the new governor. It's a great opportunity because the new governor has a party that controls the General Assembly that shares his party. And, you know, it's really a big opportunity to infuse money into the economy, to infuse capacity into government, to make it work better and more effectively and more efficiently. That's how government has to work. If you starve the beast, as some different ideologies say sometimes, you get a bad government, but you also get a bad economy as well.
And the economy really is the number one issue that we hear from voters time and time again. We understand that Wes Moore is now in the room, the governor-elect, soon to be sworn in as Governor Wes Moore. Let's listen in.
Mr. Moore is joined on the podium by his wife, Dawn. Mr. Moore is new to the State House. Dawn is not. She was an aide to now Attorney General Anthony Brown when he served as Lieutenant Governor.
Okay, so place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Wesley Watende Omari Moore.
I, Wesley Watende Omari Moore,
Do swear.
do swear
That I will support.
that I will support
The Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States,
And that I will be faithful.
and that I will be faithful,
And bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland.
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
And support the Constitution and laws thereof.
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
And that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
Governor of Maryland.
Governor of Maryland.
According to the Constitution and laws of this state.
According to the Constitution and laws of this state.
And that I will not,
And that I will not,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
receive the profits,
receive the profits,
or any part of the profits,
or any part of the profits,
of any other office,
of any other office,
during the term of my acting
during the term of my acting
as Governor of Maryland.
as Governor of Maryland.
Congratulations, Governor.
All right, so we got a little ahead of ourselves there at one point during the swearing in there, but now we have Governor Wes Moore.
Yep, governor-elect is now Governor Moore, absolutely. And, you know, looking out at the crowd and seeing people staring at screens and seeing and hearing the people behind us, they were just, you know, truly focused and excited.
This is a day for the history books, one that people have been waiting for months. And so we heard the screams here where we are on Lawyers Lawn, or Matt Gregory, also in Annapolis as well, at another section here close to the State House. So Matt, give us the sense of what the reaction was for the crowd where you're located.
You know, Larry, they can hear out here actually like what's going on inside of the State House, and that's one of the things is that everyone's been holding their breath, it feels like, for the last 15, 20 minutes waiting to hear the oath of office. So they can't see it on the big screen. All they have out here is the actual like podium that they're going to come out to in just a bit. But let's give you a little look at sort of the crowd here. People have been getting here, like I said, since about 8 o'clock. You've got people, this is sort of the auxiliary seating area, and when it comes to that, one of the things we've been talking about was that folks were coming, like I said, about 8, 9 o'clock. There's a shuttle bus coming from the Naval Marine Corps Stadium that is bringing people in. And you can see they're just kind of sitting here patiently, but because of being able to hear what's happening inside the State House, they're also at the same time, waiting, kind of anticipating what they're going to see soon is the outside swearing in of the inauguration. And this is a historic day for Maryland, but it means so much to so many people. Some of the folks we talked to in this crowd that you're seeing, one of the things that they were talking about that I think resonated the most was that some were saying that Wes Moore now stands on the shoulders of their ancestors. That's why they were so pleased to see him come down to the docks and pay tribute there. And that's, kind of the general consensus here. People dealing with the gravity of the situation. They're here to commemorate, to remember where things have been, and to hope for new things and further equality and equity in the future in the state of Maryland. I'm going to send it back to you now, Larry, because I know we have more things going on, so to speak, in the next couple of minutes or so.
Matt, thank you so much. And I think you really summed it up eloquently when you discussed kind of the gravity of the moment. This is something that people have been waiting for months since he won the election back in November. But yes, today is historic. He still has a job to do, and he's been very clear about the fact that he has a responsibility to represent the entire state. These are images now of Governor Wes Moore walking out. Okay, we're going to get to one of his biggest supporters, which is Oprah Winfrey. She actually was on the campaign trail for him. She held a fundraiser for him virtually. She is here in Annapolis. Let's take a look.
What kind of day is this, Oprah?
An extraordinary day, a historical day, a legacy building day.
All right, so Oprah is in the house. She is also on the program as well. She will give the presentation for now, Governor Wes Moore, as he will do yet another swearing in out here in front of the public on Lawyers Lawn. Delia, we will send it back to you in the studio.
Great job out there, Larry. An exciting day, historic, extraordinary, historic not only for the state, but for the country as well. And as you interviewed Wes Moore earlier, the governor said, I want you to look at the crowd, right? And that crowd behind you reflects the diversity of the state of Maryland. So really a wonderful day. Great job out there. Coming up on the news at noon, even though her body hasn't been found, police charge a suspect for the murder of a DC real estate executive. Stay with us. We have some breaking news for you this noontime. Some people in Charles County, Maryland are being told right now to shelter in place. According to the fire department, a truck driver filled up with CO2 at a service station on Lower Wharf Road in Indian Head. He drove off without detaching the hose. It pulled free, causing the leak. At least 10 people who live nearby have been asked to either shelter in place or leave the area. The CO2 should eventually dissipate down to safe levels, though. Developing this noon hour, D.C. police have already filed charges in a deadly triple shooting, but they're against one of the shooting victims. Here's what unfolded just before 9 last night. Someone opened fire in front of the Moonstar Carryout on Benning Road in Southeast. A woman inside the restaurant was killed. Now, a man and a teen standing outside the carryout were wounded, but police say that 15-year-old pulled out his own gun and fired back at the shooter. He's charged with carrying without a license. Police say they believe the two young men were targeted, but the woman was an innocent bystander. They're still looking for that shooter. Today, the husband of a D.C. real estate executive appeared in court on charges he murdered her. Anna Walsh hasn't been seen since New Year's weekend. Police say her office here in D.C. reported Anna missing January 4th when she hadn't returned to work from her home in Massachusetts. Brian Walsh has been jailed since last week on charges he misled investigators, and prosecutors say they found evidence in the couple's home.
Blood was found in the basement area, as well as a knife, which also contained some blood.
Today, prosecutors revealed they found trashed personal items of Anna's. Prosecutors also say Brian Walsh bought hundreds of dollars in cleaning supplies, and his computer showed searches for how to dispose of a body and how to dismember a body. The couple's 3 children, they're young. They're now in care of state social services. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about this beautiful weather, unseasonably warm weather that we have for this beautiful and historic inauguration today. Caitlin?
Yeah, could not have planned for a better January forecast. We have sunshine, we have really mild temperatures, a beautiful day for a well-deserved day in history for our area. Right now, you're taking a live look outside from the Earth Cam atop the Washington Monument. Blue skies, just a few fair weather clouds, and really mild temperatures. A lot of folks already in the upper 50s and heading close to the low 60s. So yes, it is well above what we expect for January, but we will take it because it is a spectacular day to get outside. Just a light breeze coming in from the northwest between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Now, as we look ahead toward tomorrow, not nearly as nice. So take some time, get outside today, enjoy the sunshine. This is 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. We start the day off with clouds, a few scattered showers, mostly in our northwestern counties. They'll all push east throughout the day tomorrow. Not a washout by any means, just a pretty gloomy Thursday forecast with off and on periods of generally light rain, especially through the early afternoon. This is 2 p.m. But then I do think right around the evening commute, we could see a few steady or moderate to possibly heavy downpours. Nothing that we're expecting to cause any major issues, but might make for a damp evening commute home. But then as a cold front slides through, we'll see very quick clearing shortly after dinner time on Thursday. The clouds are out of here. We'll have clearing skies overnight. That will tee us up for a beautiful but blustery Friday forecast with cooler temperatures. Now, as we look ahead toward the weekend, we have a pretty big storm that we're watching, but the impacts still a little bit up in the air. For most of us, this will just be a rain event, especially if we continue to see that American model trend farther off to the west. That means rain for all of us. However, the European model that's a little bit closer to our region with that track just to the south and east of D.C. could mean a mix with some snow for areas west of 81. So this scenario still rain for most of us, but if you're in the mountains, western Maryland, you might mix in just a bit of snow as we look ahead towards Sunday. A look at the 7-day forecast. We're watching the potential for a weather watch alert tomorrow, but I really think it's more of a nuisance shower event with otherwise mostly cloudy skies. Friday looks beautiful. Temperatures will be cooler, though. I think we'll probably end up in the mid-40s for Friday with blustery conditions. Chilly for Saturday, but it's still the pick day of the weekend because by Sunday, rain returns through most of the day, and we could see again a little bit of snow west of the I-81 divide. Delia?
Thanks, Caitlin. Coming up on the news at noon, we head back to Annapolis for a preview of the rest of the day's inaugural festivities.
We're back out here live in Annapolis for the inauguration of now Governor Wes Moore and now Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller. Just moments ago, we saw the two being sworn in inside of the State House, and we heard the cheers out here on Lawyers Lawn and really throughout the city of Annapolis celebrating a historic day.
Absolutely. You know, Larry, I've just been thinking about the students and the future and what this day says about public service and the future of public service in this state. I'm proud to see a lot of young people here who want to be in government.
And with 10,000 jobs that the state government needs to fill, there are plenty of opportunities for people to serve.
Look at government for employment. Anybody that's listening, there's a lot of jobs.
All right, now the governor and the lieutenant governor are now outside where they will be sworn in yet again in a public ceremony. Our coverage continues on WUSA 9+. Delia, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Okay, thank you, Larry. If you want to see more from the inauguration, we'll be live streaming it on WUSA 9+, starting at 12:30, right after the news at noon wraps up. And we'll get a final check on your forecast when we come back. So where are we heading out for lunch? Because it is balmy outside.
Today is the day to get outside. Not only is it warm, it's nice and bright. We have tons of sunshine. A lot of folks already getting close to the 60-degree mark. And today is far and large, we'll call it the pick day of the 7-day forecast because it's warm, it's sunny. Tomorrow, showers return. They'll be very intermittent, not a washout of a day by any chance. I don't think we'll have to issue a weather watch alert, but just your heads up that we will see some spotty showers and they could impact the evening commute. By Friday, sunshine is back. It is going to be really breezy though, so temperatures will feel much cooler than they actually are. And then as we head into the weekend, slightly more seasonable temperatures return, still trending above average though, should be right around 44 degrees for this time of the year. We'll be slightly above that, but Saturday looks gorgeous. Sunday, rain returns late morning into the afternoon, and it will stick around for Monday as well. So make sure you take some time, get outside, soak in that sunshine. Delia, I do not like the unseasonable warmth. Like, I want winter in winter, but you can't deny it is so nice out.
Well, my kids, I'm sure they're dying for snow.
Oh,
but
yes.
We'll take it while we got it. I'm sure the snow will come.
We got a long way to go.
All right. That's it for the news at noon. But don't forget, live streaming from the inauguration in Annapolis continues next on WSA 9+. We'll be back at 5. Have a great day. And let's look at next month.
Next to him is an enslaved person who is holding a chicken. And how apropos that an enslaved person is on the walls here, and we have a black governor.
History continues to be made. This building continues to stand. Let's take a quick look outside to see where the process of beginning the outdoor ceremony stands. We see people gathering on the podium. The Chief Justice of the state's new Supreme Court will re-administer that long oath of office. It seemed like there was a nod and a wink about maybe shortening that thing before 4 years from now. That'll be repeated. There will be remarks from the new lieutenant governor. There will be an inaugural address. And if media legend Oprah Winfrey is here, perhaps might say a word.
I'm not certain of that, but I can tell you this. One of the things that you're likely to note is the fact that the Morgan State Choir, which is literally the ambassador for this state, will be actually performing during this inauguration. But remind yourself, he will be looking out on a crowd, and in that crowd is a statue of Thurgood Marshall, who challenged, if you will, the laws in this state that did not allow African Americans to attend colleges. And he will reference that in his speech. We have seen some excerpts, and in those excerpts, what you will hear is part of his vision that he has been championing all along this process. I think the other thing that's very interesting to me is the number of folks who have shown up. Obviously, a majority of the Maryland congressional delegation is here. That includes Kweisi Mfume, Steny Hoyer, Dutch Rupersberg, and others. And also, you will also see a number of county executives and mayors. This is one of those events you don't want to miss.
There's the statue of Thurgood Marshall, who was denied admission to the University of Maryland Law School. He was born in Baltimore, eventually went on, of course, to found the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, win important victories. The State Court of Appeals building used to stand where you're seeing that crowd. He argued successfully there and later became the nation's first black justice of the United States Supreme Court.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the context that we have around here. Obviously, this morning he went down to the docks where enslaved individuals were brought. In fact, probably the most famous one was from Alex Haley's book, Roots. We know that individual now as Kunta Kinte. And understand this, all around this city, there are people who are taking note. One of the things I'm always reminded of, the little things, and one of those is there is a black enclave called Hidden Beach. Hidden Beach was where Frederick Douglass was planning to retire, but he died before his retirement. But many famous African Americans stayed in the song. It's less than 5 miles from where we are. We're around the corner from the Banneker Douglas Museum, which chronicles many of the intricacies of African American life in Annapolis. Think about this. There was a segregated beach here called Carr's Beach. And Carr's Beach had some of the most iconic black musicians of our time, going all the way back to Duke Ellington, to some of the more contemporary stuff. James Brown spent a week here at Carr's Beach, and that's in the whole context of he's here. And just over our shoulder here is a plaque to Matthew Alexander Henson. I knew about him because there was an elementary school down the street from me that was named after Henson. Henson was one of the first individuals to make it to the North Pole. And when you think in the context, we have an African-American governor, but he isn't just an African-American governor. He's going to try and chart a new vision for where the state should go.
Well, let's pick up on that because he is new to politics, has a pretty good track record in politics so far, and he brings a team of largely Annapolis outsiders. We're a week into the state legislative session. The governor's budget is due Friday. That's 2 days from now.
Right.
It's a quick turn.
Right. Well, one of the things that you get when you're a new governor is you get whatever the old governor says, I think these are the priorities. Obviously, we have a new budget secretary, and she's probably tweaked some things, and we're going to see some of that in this process, and we will get the first glimpse of what his priorities are by what he funds in the budget. Now, don't get me wrong, we have seen supplemental budgets before, and we will see probably some along with Roberta. And here's the good news. He's got a budget surplus. It's nice to have when you're a governor, when you have a budget surplus and you can find things that you want to fund.
Well, and there are a lot of people with a lot of needs. There is Oprah Winfrey, former Governor O'Malley, former Judge Katie Curran O'Malley, and on the far upper left, Michael Steele, the former Lieutenant Governor. The legislative process, it's 4-year terms here, and the first year of a cycle, Charles, tends to maybe not be the most productive unless there's a big emergency. A lot of finding out where the votes are on different issues, a lot of fact-finding with the heavy lift coming later. But one thing that Mr. Moore has indicated that he will be pushing in this session is the idea of a year of service for young people graduating from high schools, optional, but a paid year. And we believe the process of bringing out the new governor may be underway. But that'll be an interesting process to follow.
I think the other thing is some of the policy issues. You know, during this last session, there was an effort to deal with abortion. It was tabled. There will also be a cannabis issue. And he has indicated, the governor now, that he wants to have more than less.
From our vantage point, we can see the new governor is walking through the State House, soon to come out on the front steps to begin the inaugural ceremony. 3 governors, former governors in attendance. Yes. Governor Larry Hogan, Governor Paris Glendening, Governor Martin O'Malley. And as Charles said, numerous members of Congress, county officials. I saw Calvin Ball, the Howard County executive, Johnny Olszewski, the Baltimore County executive. And here is the new governor, Wes Moore, and the state's new First Lady, Dawn Moore. County Executive Stuart Pittman will be the MC for the outdoor ceremonies. Wow, what a beautiful day it is today. If we hadn't referenced this, Charles, in the past, gubernatorial inauguration days in mid-January have brought mid-January weather. This is mid-50s and sunny and a beautiful day to be outside.
I can tell you that I have frozen on many of those occasions, including during the last one with Larry Hogan, where in the middle of that process we had a snow, I don't know what you want to call it, but this today is one of those. I think it's apropos that his two kids are there. We haven't had kids in the governor's mansion in years, and as you said earlier, you know, they struck a deal. We're going to get a puppy. I don't know what the name of the puppy is going to be or what kind of puppy, but let's put it this way. You better hurry up and get that dog in that house, if you will.
We can be sure there's going to be a lot of planning. Mr. Moore, as a military veteran, leaves little to chance. Is a planner in the long term and the short term, and we haven't talked about his political future, but this is day one of his career as an elected official, and
welcome!
The future is wide open. Here's Mr. Pittman.
Welcome to the inauguration of the 10th Lieutenant Governor, the 63rd Governor of the great state of Maryland. If you happen to have a seat, please be seated. My name is Stuart Pittman. I am the 10th and current county executive of the best place for all, the crossroads of Maryland, and the seat of state government, Anne Arundel County. I have been asked to facilitate this historic occasion, to introduce our speakers, encourage them to be brief, and model that behavior myself. A master of ceremonies has a task to complete and must hide his or her emotions. I apologize in advance for my failure to do that. This is a joyous day. I have a handkerchief and I intend to use it. You see, I have deep roots in this county and this state. And today has been a very long time coming. I am a direct descendant of a man named Dr. George Hume Stewart, who arrived here from Scotland in 1721, purchased land, made his fortune in the tobacco industry on the backs of enslaved men, women, and children from Africa. Dr. Stewart was also a politician, serving as mayor of Annapolis and as a delegate to the colony's General Assembly. He lived in a house on land that later became the site of Government House, the governor's residence. He lived right there. "300 years later, on September 8th, 2021, when I stood a few steps from that house behind a podium alongside a magnificent new friend named Wes Moore, in the presence of his wife Dawn, his mother Joy, his grandmother Mama Wynn, his sisters Shawnee and Nikki, and my daughter Jessie. The magic of what this day could mean, the healing that this election could offer, was presented as if by a higher power. like a portal to a brighter future. But I did not join Team Moore on that day simply to send a message to my ancestors, as sweet as that message may be. I joined for the same reason most of Maryland joined. I, like you, was looking for a leader who would listen, and a human being to remind us what it means to be human. It's just that simple. We found one, and that is why we're here today. Watching Wes build the team that catapulted him from the single-digit support he had when I endorsed him to the most votes of any governor in the history of our state. Was a window into what will begin tomorrow morning when the crowds disperse and the work begins. Maryland will learn that we really can get both heart and mind in one body. That we can grow our economy and leave no one behind. That work, wages, and wealth are still the path to progress. And that government is not the source of our problems. It's the tool that works when we sharpen it. Sharpen it with the world-class talent that will serve in this administration. We are such a lucky state today. But we aren't here just to inaugurate Wes Moore. We have a dynamic duo coming to town. We are welcoming back to Annapolis, back to state government service, former delegate and soon-to-be Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller. A woman who brought an infectious joy and energy and confidence to the campaign, and whose experience and wisdom will carry this administration through whatever challenges our times present. Finally, I think it is fitting, it's filling too, isn't it? That after so many months of Wes and Aruna listening to us, that we show them that we have also heard their words, particularly the 4 words that appeared on thousands of yard signs all across our state. You know the ones I'm talking about. I will count to 3, and then we will shout those words together 3 times. We want them to be heard at the very top of the Capitol dome so that they hover there forever and remind all who enter the commitment we have made to the people of Maryland. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Leave no one behind. Leave no one behind. Leave no one behind. Well done, y'all. Okay, let's get this ceremony started. First, a warning and an invitation. The warning is that immediately after the governor is sworn in, you will hear a 19-gun salute and a flyover. It's okay. These are traditional demonstrations of honor and respect. The invitation is to greet the governor and lieutenant governor immediately after the ceremony here in the State House Rotunda. They will spend the first part of their afternoon greeting as many of you as possible. Did you know that? Good. Now, if you're seated and are able, please stand as the Joint Color Guard comprised of the Maryland State Police, Maryland Transportation Authority Police, Maryland Transit Administration Police, Maryland Natural Resources Police, and the Maryland Capitol Police presents the colors. Please remain standing for Severna Park High School's The Voice Top 8 superstar, Parajita Bastola. Singing our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, and after that, the invocation will be delivered by Bishop Dante Hickman Sr., pastor of the Southern Baptist Church in Baltimore, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by James Moore, son of Governor Moore and Mrs. Moore. Please remain standing after the pledge for the departure of colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Shall we bow and shall we pray? O Lord our God, how excellent is your name in all the earth. How we thank you for life, health, and strength, and for things being as well as they are. And we thank you for giving us this beautiful day to witness this historical and transformational occasion, to inaugurate, consecrate, and celebrate Wes Moore and Aruna Miller as the new governor and lieutenant governor of the state of Maryland. We're so grateful for how you've blessed our state. You blessed us with more good than bad, more unity than division, more opportunity than obstruction, and now you've blessed us with more. Wes Moore. Thank you for the content of his character. Thank you for the clarity of his mind and the quality of his spirit. And we thank you for blessing us with Aruna Miller. Thank you for her authenticity, her consistency, and her vibrancy and vitality of heart, mind, and spirit. And now we ask that you would undergird them as they lead, lift, legislate, and leave no one behind. Dispatch your angels to cover the governor and the first lady, Dawn Moore, their children and their family. Cover the lieutenant governor and her husband, David Miller, their children and their family. Protect them from all hurt, harm, and danger. Direct them in your wisdom and in your love. Correct them by your grace and your mercy. May their years in service be filled with more blessing than stressing and more success than mess. And now, Lord, so many Marylanders have been inspired by the ideas and the ideals of Wes Moore. We admire his courage, his charisma, and his collaborative spirit. And so we thank you for giving him the victory of the vote. But now we ask that you would give him the victory of his vision. Give him the victory to improve educational, environmental, economical, and ecological systems of our state so that no one is left behind. You paved the way through liberationists like Harriet Tubman. You paved the way through astronomers like Benjamin Banneker. You paved the way through abolitionists like Frederick Douglass, through jurists like Thurgood Marshall, through activists like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now guard and guide Wes Moore and Aruna Miller as they strive to make Maryland the leading state for opportunity, equity, diversity, dignity, safety, and prosperity for all. We give you praise in advance for all the successes of this administration. We give you praise in advance in the face of our spiritual adversary whose adversity couldn't stop this opportunity. We give you praise on these steps of the state capitol that undocumented enslaved hands built so that we could lift as we climb. We praise you because we know that the steps of a good man and a good woman are ordered by the Lord. We praise you because we know no weapon formed against us shall be able to prosper. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and forever. We pray this prayer to you collectively from our respective faith traditions and convictions. And I pray this prayer in the name of the one who saved my soul, in the name of the one who made me whole, Jesus Christ. Amen. Hallelujah. Glory to God.
Please continue standing and put your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow. Please be seated. I was going to say let's give a round of applause to our great talent, Perajita Pistola, for that amazing anthem, and I will say that. But how about a round of applause for James Moore, leading us in the national anthem. And thank you, Bishop Dante, for bringing faith to this moment. And we extend a special thank you to our Maryland's Joint Law Enforcement Color Guard. Now, to administer the oath of office to the 10th Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, Aruna Miller, I am honored to introduce the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Maryland, the Honorable Matthew J. Fader. At the conclusion of the swearing-in, America the Beautiful will be sung by the most highly acclaimed musical organization of the United States Naval Academy, one of America's premier choral ensembles, the United States Naval Academy Women's and Men's Glee Club, under the direction of Dr. Aaron Smith.
Place your left hand on the Gita and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Aruna Katragata Miller,
I, Aruna Katragata Miller,
do swear
that
I will support the Constitution
of
the United States
and
that I will be faithful
and
bear true allegiance
to
the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof, and that I will to the best of my skill and judgment
diligently and faithfully diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, according to the Constitution and laws of this state, and that I will not directly or indirectly receive the profits or any part of the profits of any other office during the term of my acting as Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. To the United States Naval Academy Glee Club, please be seated. At this time, please welcome Mina, Chloe, and Sasha Miller, who will introduce their mother, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller.
Good afternoon, family, friends, and Marylanders. My name is Mina. I'm Chloe. And my name is Sasha, and we are deeply honored to introduce the next Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, our mom, Aruna Miller. My mom raised us with a simple philosophy. When the universe presents you with an opportunity, say yes. But let me tell you, as an 8-year-old kid, it was not so easy to say yes to knocking on strangers' doors on a rainy Saturday to ask them who they were voting for, or standing outside metro stations at 7 a.m. trying to hand out information to half-asleep commuters. Although I did a lot of complaining over the years, sorry, Mommy, I'm grateful for the moments where you challenged me to say yes. Your encouragement has made us believe anything is possible.
But my mom doesn't only welcome opportunities, she welcomes challenges. For instance, the Lieutenant Governor used to be terrified of public speaking. For those who have seen her speak, I know, it's hard to believe. But instead of shying away from it, she faced her fears head on and took a stand-up comedy class. I won't subject you to the jokes that were part of her routine. I don't know if they're ready for prime time yet. But watching her on stage helped me realize that it didn't matter. My mom's a force to be reckoned with. She's a woman who understands that growth springs from discomfort. Years later, I watched my mom, a woman of color and an immigrant, run for elected office on a ticket with Governor Moore. Together, forging a path for so many underrepresented people to see themselves in our government. I am so proud to be her daughter, and I know she will continue to advocate for the inclusion of all Marylanders during her time as Lieutenant Governor.
My mom has always been my hero. I said I wasn't going to cry. It is her commitment to public service that led me to become a public school teacher. Watching her watching her lead with compassion grounds me in what is most important. I move through the world the way that I do because of her. She leads with values. She will say yes when it matters most, and that is how she will serve the people. Today feels like a dream, and it was only possible because of all of you that chose to say yes. So thank you, Maryland, for saying yes to Wes Moore. Thank you for saying yes to my mom, Aruna Miller. Thank you for saying yes to a better future for our state. It is my honor to share my hero with Maryland. Please join us in welcoming Maryland's Lieutenant Governor, my mom, Aruna Miller, to the stage. Oh my goodness. Girls, Mommy loves you so much. Yes, they still call me Mommy, as you heard. I am so proud of the strong, smart, beautiful souls that you have become. 12 years ago, I was sworn in to the same state house as a delegate from District 15, where I served for 8 years. They say you can never go home again. And I say my presence here today is proof. Yes, you can. Because when you want to serve the people, you can always go home. Good afternoon, Maryland. What an amazing day in our great state. What about this weather, huh? Is it beautiful or what? So I just want to remind you, yesterday it was raining. Today it's 60 degrees and sunny. Tomorrow it's supposed to rain again. So, Marylanders, you should know destiny is on our side. To my friend and Maryland's 63rd Governor, Wes Moore, I am humbled to join you on this journey to serve the state we love for the people we love in a place we call home. To the First Lady, Dawn Moore, and the First Family, we look forward to the joy you will bring to the government house, along with the new puppy you were promised. Right, Jamie? And Mia, that new puppy. To all our federal, state, local, municipal elected leaders, justices, National Guard, family, friends, mentors, and Marylanders, welcome. I am Aruna Miller, and I thank you for your trust and confidence in me to be your 10th Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. I arrived to the United States when I was 7 years old. And I will never forget my first day of school. I remember walking in, it was in Poughkeepsie, New York, walked into the classroom, looked at all my classmates, none of them looked like me, and I couldn't speak a word of English. But I wanted to fit in. So where is the best gathering place other than the cafeteria?
So when we went to the cafeteria, I had a plan. I was going to do exactly what everyone else was doing. So I ate American food for the first time. I drank cold milk for the first time in my life. I was feeling pretty good. I thought, okay, I think I won over all these classmates of mine. They're my friends now. Walked back to the classroom and proceeded to vomit all over the desk. I was mortified. My teacher called my mom. My mom came to pick me up. And on the drive home, I told her, I want to go back to Grandma who raised me in India. I hate cold milk too, Mom, by the way. By the time we got home, we heard a knock on the door. And I opened the door, and outside, standing in the snow, was one of my classmates with a stack full of paintings in her hand. Paintings that had hearts, smiley faces, little faces with tears coming down. And it was in that moment I knew I belonged in this great country. It took an educator to teach what I believe is one of the most important qualities of a human being, and that is to have empathy and compassion for others. It wasn't just the first day of school where I felt I didn't belong. In fact, I would say I spent most of my life trying to fit into a space that didn't have me in mind. As an immigrant growing up in a new country, or as a female engineer in a male-dominated field, as an Indian American legislator in a legislature that looked nothing like me. It took me a long time to realize that it was never about needing to fit into a space created by others. It was always about having the courage to be my authentic self in every space. But throughout our history, too many of our communities have been denied opportunities to live fully, freely, and to be their authentic selves. Too many people have been left behind. From our Black and brown communities seeking to feel safe in their own skin, from women who are fighting for their autonomy over their own bodies, people wanting to love who they love and be who they are in their lived identity, families and children struggling to survive without adequate access to food, housing, education, transportation, and health care. Governor Moore and I see you. We hear you. We will fight for you. We will address the inequities of the past and build a Maryland where everyone will thrive. Because you see, our fortunes are tied together in ensuring that we create a state that we grow equitably. It will take all of us together to achieve this vision. Together with you, we will write the next chapter of Maryland's history, a chapter that will be filled with real-time heroes like you who advocates every day for policies that right the wrongs, you who never gives up on the underdogs to be champions and achievers, you who believes that each of us has the power within us to make tomorrow better than today. My story would not be possible without recognizing the heroes in my life. They inspire me to be better and to try harder. So thank you to my husband, David Miller. You've made my life a fairy tale. To my mom and dad who took a leap of faith to come to this country because they believed in the promise of America. To my siblings, you were the best part of my childhood, and I thank you and I love you for always being there. And of course, also to my daughters that I recognize, I am so proud, and they become my favorite type of people, taxpayers. To my family, friends, and mentors, thank you for never, ever giving up on me. To Marylanders, thank you for trusting me to help lead our state into the future. And to Governor Moore, From the moment we met, I knew you were going to be the next governor of Maryland. And apparently, so did 1,293,944 other Marylanders. And saying yes to you when you asked me to be your running mate was the honor of my life to serve by your side. For every single person across the state, from Mountain, Maryland to the Eastern Shore, from Baltimore City to Southern Maryland, and every space in between, you belong here. This is your home. This is our home. Yes, this is our Maryland.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Miller. We are so ready for your inspired leadership. Now, it is my pleasure to present to you one of the nation's most prestigious university choral ensembles, the Morgan State University Choir, under the direction of Dr. Eric Conway, performing God Bless America.
Far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair. As we lift our voices in this solemn prayer, God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, it's my home, sweet it's the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. Oh, God bless
Thank you, Dr. Conway and the amazing Morgan State University Choir for that performance. To administer the oath of office to the 63rd Governor of the State of Maryland, Wes Moore, I once again welcome to the podium the Honorable Matthew J. Fader. The swearing in will be followed immediately by honors and the 19-gun salute by soldiers from the Maryland Army National Guard. Following the salute, please look skyward to see our Maryland Air National Guard 175th Wing's finest coming to us from Warfield Air National Guard Base in Middle River, Maryland.
Do you want to come around here because you can hold the other Bible underneath? Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Okay, sorry.
There we go.
I think good. Oh, no. Put it on this one.
Let's place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Wesley Watende Omari Moore.
I, Wesley Watende Omari Moore.
Do swear.
Do swear.
That I will support the Constitution.
That I will support the Constitution.
Of the United States.
Of the United States.
And that I will be faithful.
And that I will be faithful.
And bear true allegiance.
And bear true allegiance.
To the state of Maryland.
To the state of Maryland.
And support the Constitution.
And support the Constitution.
And laws thereof.
And laws thereof.
And that I will.
And that I will.
To the best of my skill and judgment.
To the best of my skill and judgment.
Diligently and faithfully.
Diligently and faithfully.
Without partiality or prejudice.
Without partiality or prejudice.
Execute the office.
Execute the office.
Of Governor of Maryland.
Of Governor of Maryland.
According to the Constitution.
According to the Constitution.
And laws of this state.
And laws of this state.
And that I will not.
And that I will not.
Directly or indirectly.
Directly or indirectly.
Receive the profits.
Receive the profits.
Or any part of the profits.
Or any part of the profits.
Of any other office.
Of any other office.
During the term.
During the term.
Of my acting.
Of my acting.
As Governor of Maryland.
As Governor of Maryland.
Congratulations, Governor Moore.
We've got a lot of hugging going on up here. Congratulations, Governor.
Thank you. Thank you, County Executive.
Okay. Governor brought a friend. I would like to introduce, or two. I would like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Jaime Martinez, a retired United States soldier and great friend of the governor.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jaime Martinez. I'm a retired United States Army soldier, and I am humbled to participate in such a historic day. Honored to say a few words about my friend, Governor Moore. Wes and I met in Afghanistan in 2005 during Operation Enduring Freedom on a hot, dusty airstrip and coast along the Pakistan border, when he reported to our unit, the 82nd Airborne Division, where we were tasked with securing Afghanistan for its first ever legislative elections, while building the local economy and extending the rule of law. The pace of combat operations during that tour involved constant contact with a relentless enemy. That deployment was challenging in ways few can understand, with losses and sacrifices of many great Americans in harsh and austere conditions, all while continuing the mission. You know, Wes did not need to go to Afghanistan in 2005 to 2006. We all know that he had attended a military academy. He had also graduated from Johns Hopkins, where he had proved to be a standout student, and then attended Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar. He was the kind of guy with unlimited potential, and he could have chosen to do anything with his life and succeeded. But Wes also had taken an oath of service, and he saw it as his duty to raise his hand. "Send me," he said, "I will go." And from day one, he was all in. Often, I would walk into the Tactical Operations Center in the middle of the night, and Wes would be there, evaluating reports and providing critical analysis while assisting with battle plans. In effect, to lead our information operations in an area 4 times the size of Maryland. Or he would be out on patrol, engaging the local populace and assessing the effectiveness of our campaign, while targeting the constant threat and reporting back to command. There was no rest. Wes never shrank from his duty, and his commitment never wavered. He was a soldier, he was a leader, and he was the very best of us, and well respected above his rank. His ideas were critical to our success, and in the fluid battle space of Afghanistan, our higher headquarters took notice and replicated that operational art. Our time in Afghanistan and in the service was guided by the Army's values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Now, I could tell you how Wes embodies all of them, but today I'm going to focus on selfless service. You see, selfless service is about putting the welfare of the nation before your own. Selfless service is larger than just one person, where you perform your duty without thought of recognition or personal gain. Because in the Army, and just as the government and in our local communities, it is never one person that does it all. At the end of the day, it is about your personal commitment to the team. It takes all of us doing everything that they can. And that's how Wes Moore leads. Now, I've known Wes for a very long time, and I've seen him on difficult days. Days when every decision was hard and success was far from guaranteed. And he has risen to the toughest of challenges, and as he volunteered to help again and again. I will go is selfless service. I will help is selfless service. I will run is selfless service. And he did. He decided to run for governor of this great state. He said he wanted Maryland to be a state of service. And that philosophy starts at the top. Wes Moore's administration will not be defined by only his leadership or the lieutenant governors. It will be defined by the whole state's worth of leaders. Teachers and first responders, elected officials, union leaders, law enforcement officers, parents. Wes has called on every Marylander to serve and to support one another, to leave no one behind, to leave no one behind. He has made this call because he has lived these values himself. In Afghanistan, I saw a leader emerge from the most difficult challenges. And I see that same leader here today. From Afghanistan to Annapolis, Wes Moore has always put serving others before himself to set the example. He has always delivered, and starting today, he is going to deliver as governor. I could not be more prouder. Thank you. God bless. Airborne. Do great things, my friend.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Lieutenant Colonel, sorry. Lieutenant Colonel Martinez. All right. It is now my great honor to invite forward the beloved American who introduced Wes Moore to America 10 years ago so that she can introduce Wes Moore to us as our 63rd Maryland governor. Welcome, Ms. Oprah Winfrey.
Whoa. Hello, Maryland! I can tell you it is such a joy to be here on this day, and what a joy to be back here in Maryland. I'm back! I have to say, I was just 22 years old when I first came to Maryland. I was starting a new job as a co-anchor of the 6 o'clock news on WJZ-TV. And I left my home in Nashville, and I drove myself here in an Oldsmobile Cutlass to Baltimore. I moved into the third floor at 10109 Windstream Drive, Columbia, Maryland, which at the time was considered this new model city. I was so excited, living away from home for the first time, from my family for the very first time. And as I walked around the city of Baltimore that first week, I saw the strangest thing. Their promo campaign was my face on billboards and my face on the backs of buses. My face advertising the 6 o'clock news with Jerry Turner. Remember Jerry Turner? And a question on the billboards and the buses said, "What is an Oprah?" Honestly, I didn't really know the answer to that myself. When I moved to Maryland, I had no idea really who I was or what an Oprah was. But I will tell you something, Maryland is where I figured it out. The 8 years that I lived here were some of the most significant years of my life. I grew up here. From a young, naive girl, I truly had corn growing behind my ears. I was truly green behind the ears, and grew into a woman becoming more and more of myself from every challenge and every experience. I found community here at Bethel AME Church every Sunday. I found the freedom to perform and feed my creative spirit. I found my professional calling sitting alongside Richard Scher for the show People Are Talking. And though it wasn't the job that I moved here to do, it was the job that sparked my desire to use television to tell stories that would impact people's lives. And I found some of the closest friends of my life here, Maria Shriver and my BFF, Gail King. But most important, in Maryland, I found myself. This state is something special. It's a place where so many others have done and will do exactly what I did. Plant the seeds of their wildest dreams and watch those seeds grow into reality. Maryland is full to the brim with opportunity. It was back then, it is now. And I know that with Wes Moore as your governor, Maryland's best days lie ahead. So let me tell you a little bit about the Wes Moore that I know, the Wes that I'm proud to be standing here with today. Well, I met Wes for the first time in 2010 when I interviewed him about his best-selling book. Y'all read the book, right? Everybody's gonna want to read the book now. I was so impressed even then by his integrity and his wisdom. He was wise beyond his years. He knew who he was, and he had a vision for who he intended to be and how he wanted to serve. Though I have to say, I was delightfully surprised when he called me last year, on January 6th, as a matter of fact, to tell me that he wanted to serve as governor. And I said, you want to run for governor in this political climate where everybody is so polarized, where there's such vitriol? Look at what's happening right now as we speak, because as he was telling me, I could see the CNN screen behind him, and that's the first I knew of the invasion of the Capitol. So then I turned it on. I go, look at what's happening. You want to run in this climate? And he said, exactly. Exactly. So I said, go for it, and I'll be here if you need me. I always walk away from a conversation with Wes Moore with a new perspective, with new ideas, with a new way of seeing things, a new burst of positive energy. That's what you do for people. And about 5 years ago, Wes and our now First Lady of Maryland, Dawn Moore, had come to my house for dinner. And we had a conversation that stayed with me. I still think about that conversation. We were talking about, as we often do at the table, how to live with purpose and meaning, and how to continue that into your later years, and how to know that you are spending your precious days in a way that you'll be able to look back with pride and have absolutely never any regret. And I remember, Wes, you said to me, because I had just recently ended the show, and you said, your job title, talk show host, will change. Your titles change throughout your life, you said, but your occupation will also change. But your work, you said, will always be consistent. Wes has had quite a few titles in his life. Author, Army Captain, CEO, and now Governor. The man has worn many hats, but the work he's done the work he has always done, that has never changed. It has not changed, not even a little. He has always been committed to helping young people find purpose and direction in their lives. That's why he started a small business in Baltimore that gave a helping hand to college students who needed one. He's always believed that everyone deserves an equal shot at success, an opportunity to live well, to have lives that are meaningful and provide for their families in the way that he's able to provide for James and Mia. That's why he joined the Robin Hood Foundation, one of the largest anti-poverty organizations in America, and distributed more than $600 million to families in need. He has always loved our country and believed that our country is worth fighting for. That's why he served as a captain and a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. So you see, this might be his first day as an elected official, but Wes Moore has been a public servant his entire adult life. And there's so much more to come. He's just getting started. I once asked Wes what service meant to him, and he told me, it's the thing that makes your heart beat a little bit faster. Well, something tells me that is you prepared to tell us about your vision for a stronger, safer, and more equitable Maryland, a Maryland that leaves no one behind. As you prepare to serve the state that has meant so much to you, I do believe that your heart must be pumping, 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 pumping some wild, ecstatic excitement and love for Maryland and all who abide here. It is my honor to introduce you as my friend, to introduce you as someone who I believe in, as a man I truly respect, and a man I so trust. I trust you. I trust your vision. I trust your leadership. And I want you to know you can trust it too. In your new governor, Wes Moore.
Wow, wow, wow. Hello, Maryland! God bless you all. God bless you all. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for the honor that you have bestowed upon me and Aruna Miller as your next Lieutenant Governor. President Ferguson, Speaker Adrian Jones, members of the Maryland General Assembly, thank you all. It is an honor to be your partner. And to all of our state workers and all who organized this inauguration, thank you. It is an honor to be your new colleague. To Governor Hogan, we are grateful and thankful for the kindness that you and your team have shown throughout this entire transition period. Thank you for 8 years of great service to a state that we both love. To my dear friend Oprah Winfrey, a Maryland girl at heart, thank you for your incredibly kind and gracious introduction. It is an honor to be with you today and always, and thank you for always being in my corner. To your new First Lady, my amazing wife, Dawn, and to to the new first babies, me and James, you are my heart, you are my soul, you're my everything, and I love you. As we stand here today, looking out over Lawyers Mall, and you can see right there the memorial to Justice Thurgood Marshall. It's impossible not to think about our past and our path. We're blocks away from the Annapolis docks, where so many enslaved people arrived in this country against their will, and we are standing in front of a Capitol that was built by their hands. We have made uneven and unimaginable progress since then, and it is a history that has been created by generations of people whose own history was lost, stolen, or never recorded. But one thing we know is that right now we are standing here in our history, in our shared history, in our collective history, made by people who over the past 2 centuries, regardless of their origin story to this state, fought and built a state and a country that works for everybody. And there are 2 people who are here today who embody that spirit, who are sitting right here next to me, 2 extraordinary women named Hema and Joy. Hema came to this country from India. Joy from Jamaica. Yeah, man. They immigrated to America with hope in their hearts, not just for themselves, but for future generations. And now, today, they are sitting here together at the inauguration of their children to become the governor and lieutenant governor of a state that helped to welcome them. Please stand up. Please stand up so everybody can see you both. To Aruna's mom, Hema, and to my mom, Joy, you epitomize everything special about this state. And you are proof that in the state of Maryland, anything is possible. Now, yes, Aruna and my portraits are going to look a little bit different from the ones that we've always seen in the Capitol. But that's not the point. This journey has never been about making history. It's about marching forward. Today is not an indictment of the past. Today is a celebration of our collective future. And today, our opportunity to begin this future is so bright it is blinding, but only if we are intentional, inclusive, and disciplined in confronting challenges, making hard choices, and seizing this opportunity in front of us. Our state is truly remarkable. From my birthplace of Montgomery County to my adoptive home of Baltimore City, from the sandy beaches of the Eastern Shore to the rolling hills of West. Yeah, go ahead, Eastern Shore. Go ahead and make yourselves known. To the rolling hills of Western Maryland and everywhere in between. Maryland is home to spectacular natural beauty and dynamic industries and people as talented as they are determined. But the truth is, Maryland is asset rich and strategy poor. And for too long, we have left too many people behind. We know it is unacceptable that while Maryland has the highest median income in the country, 1 in 8 of our children live in poverty. We know it is unacceptable that in the home of some of the best medical institutions on the planet, that more than 250,000 Marylanders lack health coverage. We've been asked to accept that some of us must be left behind, and that in order for some to win, it means others must lose. And not only that, we've come to expect that the people who have lost will keep losing. We must refuse to accept that. Instead, I'm asking you to believe that Maryland can be different. I'm asking you to believe that Maryland can be bold, and I'm asking you to believe that in this moment, Maryland can lead. I'm asking you to understand that it is time for our policies to be as bold as our aspirations, and to confront the fact that we have been offered false choices. We do not have to choose between a competitive economy and an equitable one. Maryland should not be 43rd in unemployment or 44th in the cost of doing business. We should not tolerate an 8-to-1 racial wealth gap, not because it only hurts certain groups, but because it prevents all of us from reaching our full potential. We can attract and retain top industries like aerospace, like clean energy, like cybersecurity, and raise the minimum wage to $15 to help folks feed their families. Maryland can reward entrepreneurs who take bold risks and provide stability for families in need. Maryland can be the best place in America for employers and employees. It shouldn't be a choice, it isn't a choice, and the path forward requires us to do both of these things together. And there's another false choice we often hear, that people must choose between feeling safe in their own community and feeling safe in their own skin. Over the last 8 years, we have seen the rate of violent crime rise, and many Marylanders have grown weary in their faith that governments can actually keep them safe. We can build a police force that moves with appropriate intensity and absolute integrity and full accountability, and embrace the fact that we cannot and will not militarize ourselves to safety. We can and we will support our first responders who risk everything to protect us, and change the inexcusable fact that Maryland incarcerates more black boys than any other state in this country. We will work with communities from West Baltimore to Westminster to share data so we can keep violent offenders off of our streets, and we can welcome people who have earned a second chance back to our communities. I know what it feels like to have handcuffs on my wrists. Me too. We're not alone. I felt that when I was 11 years old. I also know what it's like to stand with families and mourn the victims of violent crime. We do not have to choose between being a safe state and a just one. Maryland can and we will be both. We're often told that climate change is a problem for the future, or something that you only have to worry about if you live in farmlands or in a flood zone. But climate change is an existential threat, and it is happening now in our communities. And so confronting climate change represents another chance for Maryland to lead. We can and we will be a leader in wind technology, in grid electrification, and in clean transit. We will protect our jewel, the Chesapeake Bay, and address toxic air pollution that chokes our cities, and we will put Maryland on track to generate 100% clean energy by 2035 and create thousands of jobs in the process. Clean energy will not just be a part of our economy, clean energy will define our economy in Maryland. But that requires everybody. Companies, communities, state and local governments, and the people to take bold and decisive action together. And importantly, we do not have to choose between giving our children an excellent education and an equitable one. We will ensure that every single one of our students and every single one of our children knows that this state loves and needs them, and we will create policies that can help them thrive. We will invest in our special education students, our English language learners, our LGBTQIA students, students experiencing homelessness, and every single child who needs a little extra help. And we will see to it that mental and behavioral health challenges do not prevent our children from getting the education that they deserve as well. And while Maryland is home to some of the best and some of the greatest institutions of higher education in this country, something we should be very, very proud of, we must end this myth that young people must attend one of them in order to be successful. That's not the path for every student. To be clear, it wasn't my path. I joined the military when I was 17 years old. I went to a 2-year college, and I think things worked out pretty well. Every student in Maryland will know that there are paths to their success and their fulfillment. And those paths begin with high quality and highly inclusive schools from pre-K to 12th grade. Now, my own journey started in military school, where I learned one of my core values: service. I went on to lead soldiers in Afghanistan, and my years of service transformed me. My character was strengthened, my vistas were widened, and my leadership was tested. I want every young Marylander of every background and from every community to have the opportunity to serve our state. That's why we will offer a service year option for all high school graduates. A year of service can prepare our young people for their careers and also provide our state with future leaders, public servants that we desperately need. The challenges that we will face will require all of us to answer this call to service. To go out and join the ranks of our teachers and our firefighters, our police officers and our civil servants, our nurses and our union members. You've elected me to serve as your governor, but the work will be done together. Now, fair warning, there are going to be skeptics and people who say that we cannot rise above the toxic partisanship that we see too often in today's politics, where people care more about where the idea came from than is it a good idea? Those are the same voices that told me at the beginning of this campaign, you don't understand how politics works. And to them, I said and I say, we must govern on big principles and not on petty differences. That we must govern in a way that addresses the needs of all of our families and not worrying about what a political ideology asks us to believe and asks us to do. That we must govern in a way that we will never forget who it is that we're fighting for and what it is that we're supposed to be fighting for. We know that in this moment we have a chance, we have an opportunity, and we have a unique place and space to do something special. And when people say, well, how do you know that you can do this, or how do you know that you can execute upon this in this time of divisiveness, in this time of political vitriol, my answer is this: it's the only way that I've ever led. You know what question I never once asked my soldiers when I was leading soldiers in Afghanistan? What's your political party? It didn't matter. We had one job, one goal, and one mission. My job was to unify our unit and go out and accomplish that mission, and it's the same job and responsibility that we have right now. If we are divided, we can't win. But if we are united, we can't lose. Now, we know that we stand here on the cusp and in a time of a historic measure. And we're very humbled by that. We know that in this time, that while for both Aruna and myself, that we're walking in a space that and we're able to see higher because of the shoulders that we're standing on. We also know that is not the assignment. That in this time and in this moment, we have a unique opportunity to lead and to love. We have a unique opportunity to build and to grow. But that opportunity can only happen if we're doing it together. Now is the opportunity that we have to march forward and to march together. And let us march on till victory is won. Today is not the victory. Today is the opportunity. It is our opportunity to lead with love. It is our opportunity to create with compassion. It's our opportunity to fight fearlessly for our future. Maryland, our time is right now. Our time is now to build a state that for those who came before us that they fought for, and it's a state that leaves no one behind. This is not a slogan, it is the fulfillment of a hope. Maryland, it's time, let's lead and let's do it together. God bless you all, and thank you so much.
It sure does feel good to be a Marylander today.
Yes, it does.
The benediction will be offered by Rabbi Stuart Weinblatt from Congregation B'nai Zedek. Oh, there you are. Good.
I'd like to go off script just for a moment and say that, you know, when we watch those TV shows and Oprah has a prize for everyone, so she has a gift for everyone who's here today. And that gift is that you have witnessed history. Dear God, today we celebrate, and tomorrow we begin to work. To do the work of governing, to do the hard work of making tough decisions, to do the work of serving the people of the great state of Maryland. But today we celebrate, for it is the dawn of a new era. So let us pause in grateful prayer to take in, to appreciate, and to revel in the glory of this magnificent day. As the psalmist proclaimed about just such an occasion, Zeh hayom asa Adonai, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and let us be glad. We rejoice and we are glad and we feel joy, for we are grateful, O God, to you for sending us Wes Moore and Aruna Miller to lead and to guide us. We are grateful, O God, for the grace, goodness, and kindness that has been stirred and awakened in all corners of our state by the inspiring campaign that Wes Moore conducted. We're grateful, O God, for the vision and positive, empowering message that Wes Moore has articulated. He has touched, moved, and uplifted all segments of the citizens of this great state. And he has shown us that when we are united, when we are imbued with a sense of purpose, together we can and we will achieve great things. The sages of the Talmud over 2,000 years ago offered an insight and words of wisdom that we should and we must take to heart. They used to say, I am a creature of God, and my neighbor is a creature of God. I work in the city, and he works in the country. I rise early for work, and he rises early for work. He cannot perform my work, and I cannot perform his. But lest one think that I do great things and he does small things, or that I somehow am better than he, it has been taught. It does not matter whether a person does much or little, as long as he directs his heart to heaven. And so we direct our hearts. We direct our hearts to heaven, and we pray that Governor Moore and Lieutenant Governor Miller will be guided by the very noble principles and virtues, the hopes, the dreams, the lofty ideals, and the high expectations that carry them to this office and this moment, and that have inspired so many of us. May they always remember why they aspired to seek office and to serve the people, so that when it is time to begin to work, they will remember why we celebrate today and what it is that we celebrate. And when there are difficult and challenging days, as there inevitably will be, may they remember the words of the psalmist, which Dr. King used to love to quote. His anger lasts for a moment, but his love is for a lifetime. Tears may linger for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So, dear God, do not let their ideals become tarnished. When they are weary, give them strength. When they are discouraged, do not let them despair. Send them encouragement. Should they encounter disappointment, send them hope. We ask for their well-being. We ask blessing for them and their families. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May you watch over them. May you protect them. May you be with them, and may they be with you. For as the prophet Micah taught, what is required of you? Only to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. So may it be thy will. Amen.
Thank you all for being part of this historic ceremony. The receiving line will form in the State House Rotunda. I hope that you will not miss this opportunity to greet our governor and lieutenant governor, although I suspect there will be many more after this. Please note that there are COVID protections in place. Thank you in advance for respecting them. And the musical selections that you hear as you disperse will be performed by the Maryland Defense Force Band and the 229th Maryland Army National Guard Band. Let us go forth in peace, and one more time, let's say it together, leave no one behind.
And I just want to say thank you for everything you did there when we started early.
So Maryland has a new leader, and now the business of governing begins. We'll have a full report on MPT's State Circle program Friday evening at 7. Please join us then.